So just a quick video. I wanted to try out my new blue screen setup and pass along a couple of modeling tips that I've been keeping a list of kind of off to the side. And some of this stuff is Modo specific, but some of it's just generic modeling. And just to preface this, none of this is particularly groundbreaking, but it's the kind of stuff you lose track of, if you don't remind yourself about it every once in a while. So let's take a look, and I hope you can get some value out of it. So if you've been a Modo user for any amount of time, you've obviously put in some trigger time with the scale tool. And the scale tool is great for scaling on each axis or scaling on two axes. You get these handy little circles. But to do it on all three, you have to kind of carefully aim into the center of the circle, grab this little round thing and drag it, which is hard to do sometimes. You end up doing this, or you drag things in a weird fashion. The shortcut to scale on all three axes is just hold the control key down while you drag one of the other axis. It doesn't matter which one you do, and all three will scale at the same time. I embarrassingly learned that a short time ago, and it saved me a lot of time. So here's one of those topics that's not all that exciting or glamorous to talk about, but it does matter. Often you'll do a mesh, say a weapon or a sci-fi piece that has a whole bunch of cylindrical pieces, and those cylindrical pieces have caps. And how you triangulate those caps matters. And I'll show you why. So traditionally, the default way people will do this is they'll just hit it with a spiky or a triangle fan or whatever. And that gives you have 12 polygons you can see in the lower corner there. And there's one triangle for each side of the cylinder. But a more efficient way to do it is to break the cylinder up into quads and triangulate those quads. And can you see the stat? You can. There's 10 polygons now. So it's 12 versus 10. And that doesn't sound like a big difference, but like I said at the start, if you get a whole bunch of these on your mesh, that can add up. So keep that in the back of your head. So something I learned about the scaling tool not too long ago was that it can easily help you out when you have this kind of situation. There's two boxes, and I want to stretch a collection of polygons between A and B, so it fits exactly between the two boxes. Now there's ways of doing that with lattice effectors and that kind of stuff, but for a lot of cases this is actually faster than doing that. So you select the polygons you want to scale between the two, turn on the scale tool. Now turn on the absolute handle checkbox over here. This is what enables the functionality, and you can see the widget change now. We have these squares and spheres on it now. So the process I go through when I turn on vertex snapping for this, or whatever snapping works for your situation, but I move the scaling widget to the starting point. Now you drag the sphere to the end of whatever it is you want to scale. That defines the scaling bounds, I guess. Then drag the square to where you want it to be scaled to. And you can see it snaps right into place, scaled exactly at the right value, and no fuss. So this tip I picked up watching Tor Frick, actually, and I can't remember if this is exactly the way he does it or not, but this is the way that I have found works pretty reliably. So you've done your low poly mesh, and you've baked up the normal map, and you're like, oh, but this cylinder, is 8 sides, it would look better at 16. So you want to add some roundness, but let's pretend that in the center of this, in the center of here, you've been using polystyrene or something, and you've got a whole bunch of detail that's been modeled into it and cut in, and it's not a simple flat polygon. Well, one cheap way to add roundness to the outside without affecting the center is simply by turning on the bevel tool, use the mitering tool to insert an edge around the outside. Then do a ring select, loop select, and hit those edges with a bevel. Pull that out till you get about to where you want to be, and there you go. You've added roundness to the outside, but you haven't affected the center at all. Seems simple, but it's the kind of thing that escapes you until you see somebody do it. And one last little tip to round this video out. I sometimes find myself making low poly meshes that have weird cutouts. Like as I get wilder with the mop Boolean toolkit, I end up making these shapes that are a pain in the butt to low poly sometimes. And what I found is that you can actually do a quick version of the low poly using the mop Booleans and then just copy and paste it out. So I'll show you what that looks like. So say we have this cube here and I make this the base mesh. I select these and I make them the subtractive meshes. And I'm like, yeah, that's the basics of what my low poly looks like. Now, as opposed to freezing this mesh and going through all of that, you can simply select it, copy it, I'll make a new file here, get rid of my default cube and paste that in. Now I've got the basics of those cutouts and I can go ahead and start to, you know, stitch up the topology in whatever way, you know, it needs to be stitched up to be, you know, correct or whatever. But yeah, that copy paste functionality has been great for say curve shapes. You want to get like a scoop out of it sort of thing. So you do like an intersection, then copy the intersection polygons out and paste them somewhere else. There's a lot of interesting uses there, and yeah, it's worth keeping in the back of your head that that is possible. So when the need strikes, you can pull it up. So that's it for this video. Like I said, it's a short one. It's more of a test video to see how the green screen works, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. And I just want to assure you that I will not be using the green screen for any stupid gags or jokes or whatever going forward. This is a serious channel for serious business. I'll see you next time.